What's up, fam? Welcome back. We are here for the final installment of our Proverbs series. We have been through 30 chapters of the Book of Proverbs, and now we are on chapter 31. We made it. And for those that might be like, oh gosh, I'm finally through this, I've enjoyed every bit of this. I enjoy going through the Word of God, but I am telling you, my Evernote is just full of things that I'm thinking about, I want to get to, I want to teach on, I want to go through. And so as much as it might be difficult for some people to stop and pause and go verse by verse through an entire 31 chapter book, it is just as much, if not more difficult for me. And so, here we are, we made it together. And it hasn't been, I hope not for you, but it's certainly not for me. It's been exciting. It's been awesome. It's a great accomplishment, just kind of personally, getting through 31 chapters, the Book of Proverbs, all the way through it. And it's been fun. There's been some great topics, some great things we've discussed. But again, my mind just, it's one of those things. There's so many things. I almost want to do a podcast like every day, like have an episode a day or something like that. I don't know if my schedule would allow for something like that though. So be praying about that. That's God's will. Hey, let's do it. But for now, it's once a week. And so here we are. We are at that point. We are in Proverbs. We are on chapter 31, and we're going to hit it and get through it today. In the meantime, don't forget to share this podcast with someone that you know, a coworker, a friend, somebody you go to church with, maybe a family member. Maybe it's all these things. A family member who you also consider a friend that goes to church with you and you work with. Just whatever it might be. Share this with someone who you think will benefit. And I think we'll get the word out, and we will continue to help change lives for the better with Scripture, with the Word of God. And so without further ado, no more opening comments. I give you Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 1. Just a reminder, I am in the English Standard Version, the ESV. So if it doesn't sound quite the same as what you're used to listening to or reading, that might be why. Just different version. So we're opening up with verse 1, the words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him. Now, I want to stop right there just for a second. This is just sort of a personal. Recently, I heard someone saying something about the Proverbs 31 woman, and they said it like jokingly. They were like, I don't want to take anything that Solomon had to say about women. Come on, this is Solomon, right? Went a little overboard with the wives and concubines and everything. Now, that's a funny kind of tongue-in-cheek, or maybe the right saying is cheeky. Nice little cheeky saying there. Oh yeah, let me get people to laugh a little bit. But this person was not just being cheeky. They were not being like just funny. Because they went into unrealistic expectations people might put on women or things like that. And I'm just like, that's interesting. Now, do people put unrealistic expectations on other people? Of course. Men do this to women. Society does this to women. Women do it to men. Men do it to children. Parents do it to children. Children do it to, their kids, right? But children, this happens all over the place. Leaders in a church put unrealistic expectations sometimes on the folks that might be non-leaders, and vice versa. Sometimes people expect way too much out of a leader, and it's just not possible. They're looking for, Jesus in the flesh, and he already came and did that. So verse 1 says it's an oracle that his mother taught him. So the mother is putting this into her son, and that's where we get this from. So I do think it's a very idealistic view of womanhood and a woman. and the role that she can play, but it isn't something that's like, oh, that's ridiculous. We should just dismiss that out of hand either. Now, while we're going through this, I want to look at it through the lens of both women and men. So as we look at this, we talk about, this incredible, the virtuous woman, the different traits she has and everything. I also want people that may not be, if you are a woman, aspire to this, but also be thinking, hey, if I'm going to be these things, especially if you're a single woman, if you're a young woman, you're unmarried, be thinking about what kind of guy should the dude be, right? What kind of guy should he be to sort of quote unquote be worthy of this kind of woman? Men that might be listening to this, maybe if you're single, or maybe if hopefully you don't quote this to your wife, like, hey, you should be these things. But if you do, or if that crosses your mind, well, then what kind of man should you be? If this is what you get out of the woman here, what should be coming out of the man? Oh, well, we already spent 30 chapters looking at it. I think everything from the godly fatherly figure, the kind of husband they're supposed to be, the kind of wisdom they're supposed to have in all aspects of life. There's a lot there, okay? So as much as Proverbs 31 might focus in and, just kind of dial it all the way in and look at a woman specifically for a good portion here, I think all of Proverbs applies to men foremost, because they are the leaders of their homes, the leaders of the church, the leaders of society, called by God to bear the weight of leadership and responsibility and accountability to Him. And so, if the woman's supposed to look like this, bro, we have a lot of work to do on ourselves as men. So here we go. His mother taught him this oracle. Verse 2, what are you doing, my son? What are you doing, son of my womb? What are you doing, son of my vows? Do not give your strength to women, your ways to those who destroy kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, or for rulers to take strong drink. Again, remember, this is his mother giving him advice, giving him instruction, and giving him some wisdom. And so it's not just about the virtuous woman, which is what what Proverbs 31 is most known for. But look at this advice she's giving him. Hey. It's not for kings to drink wine and rulers to take strong drink, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed and pervert the rights of all the afflicted. So giving him some general advice about having sound judgment. There's a little more expectation of you being in the position that you're in. You're in a position of leadership. You're in front of people. You need to be thinking about how this is going to affect not just you, but also those who you have been given charge over. Then verse 6 says, give strong drink to the one who is perishing and wine to those in bitter distress. Sort of, right, more like for medicinal purposes as needed where it's needed. Verse 7, let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. Verse 8, let me just stop. We did a whole podcast on drinking and this kind of thing, so go check that out. I think you'll find that very enlightening. I got a lot of feedback from that one, that people did find it helpful, and some people very enlightening indeed. So go and check that out. Verse 8, open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. Now, again, right here ending at verse 9, be someone who is standing up for those who maybe don't have a voice. They don't have the justice that should be for all people, but you as the person in charge, the leader, should be able to be watching out for and looking out for those who maybe because of their lack of wealth or status or whatever, they might be those folks that people try to take advantage of. This is something God has always had a heart for: the widow, the orphan, the stranger. Why? Looking out for those people whose voices might be silenced by what? By the system of men that might be in place. We have to go out of our way sometimes to make sure that we deliver true justice. Now, the Bible does say, don't take the side of the poor just because they're poor. It's about justice, but generally, let's be honest, when the scales start to tip, it's not just even, it's not just straight justice, blind justice. You've seen that statue, right? Where justice has the scales and she's got the blindfold on. That's a farce, okay? No, I'm just please, I'm trying not to be overly cynical with this. And I'm not going to go off on a tangent. I could go for 3 hours on this probably. I won't. But give me a break, okay? People are people. People have biases to try and pretend like anybody is so virtuous. They don't have any leanings, no bias, none of that. That's ridiculous. Of course we do. All people do. And that's why we should have systems in place to watch out for those biases and try to make a system that tries to eliminate it within the virtues of the system, and to also just have people aware that this is the case. But when those scales start to tip, when they start to tip because of injustice, when they start to tip because of the evil in men's heart, the biases that stand out, which direction do they usually start to tip? Who has control of that system? Generally, they tip in the favor of those with money, power, influence. Now, people with money, power, and influence can act like they don't have those things. They can put on the, especially in today's age, they put on the victim mentality, act like I'm a victim, when really you're like the most protected class of people in the world today, if you're a part of certain classes of people, certain intersectionality of people. But again, the people who have the kind of cultural, political, socioeconomic power, generally, that's where those scales start to tilt. And so his mother is giving him some wise advice and saying, as the king, as the ruler, where the buck stops with you, buddy, you need to open your mouth and you need to be able to speak for those that may not have a voice, who need justice. And I've already talked about, right, justice, biblical justice versus social justice, or men's idea of justice. It's biblical justice that actually is equitable, and try to say that 25 times real fast, I guess. Equitable. Yeah, it's not that easy. So where I got that from anyway. So we need to make sure that we understand that's part of God's heart, to take care of those whom the systems that are set up, political, justice systems, these kinds of things, those systems might actually hurt or harm. They shouldn't, but they sometimes do. So now we're going to go into the famous portion, I'll say, of the chapter. Chapter 31, verse 10 says, "An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain." Now, if I itch my nose or whatever, for those of you watching on YouTube, I apologize. You might be able to see, right, got a little bit too much sun, starting to peel and stuff a little bit. So just bear with me in my folly. I will try not to be, too distracted and, constantly have my hands on my face and my nose and stuff. But that might happen, and I apologize. Yeah. Get the sunblock on the kids and then jump in the water and forget to put it on yourself. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. So, an excellent wife who can find, she's far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. Stop right there. Right? A husband and a wife, it's a partnership. It is not you don't really see where God set it up that the woman is solely, she has no ability to pursue anything that she enjoys or likes or anything like that. She is just a worker bee drone that's supposed to support whatever vision the man has. That's not true, but it is true. Man was created first, woman out of man, right, as a helpmeet, as a person to come alongside and be there in intimate relationship with, and as a partner with the man. part of the curse. When you look at the curse, he curses the ground, he curses Adam, he curses Eve, he curses the serpent. And the curse for woman, God says, you will, right, basically be trying to usurp your husband's authority. This is part of fallen man, right? And of course, we know that men can be chauvinistic and men can be we can objectify women. Of course, I say men, I mean, a lot of society, even women objectify women sometimes. Corporations, which are made of men and women, objectify women to sell stuff, right? This is part of the fall, though. This is part of evil, part of sin. God's desire is that men and women partner together, and he says an excellent wife who can find husbands, wives, the man, the woman coming together, creating the first institution, the most important institution, and that is the family. But they should be able to trust one another, have that trust, have that heart that is after one another and aligned with each other. I can't tell you how much turmoil and stress and strife and anxiety and all these things it can cause when a man and a woman are not on the same page, when there's sort of a gap or a rift in the marriage, in our priorities, in what we're trying to achieve. These are things that need to be worked out. And ultimately, the husband, the man, is the head of the household and should be the leader out front, the tip of the spear for the family, communicating these things and kind of bearing the weight of all these things on his shoulders. And the wife is there not to be the one that is primarily bearing the weight and burden, but to be the one that is there as that necessary support structure. It's funny that we can do this with teams, any sports team. Pick your sport: hockey, soccer, dodgeball. I mean, any team, right? And you can have like a captain on that team. You can have even a couple of different people on that team that are kind of leaders within the team, and other members on the team. They're valuable, they're important, they have a say and all that, but they're not the same, right? Everybody's not the quarterback on a on a football team. I almost said basketball team. I don't know why I was thinking basketball. Everybody's not the point guard, right? Everyone is not the leader on the team, right? What's that old saying? Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. I can say that because I am Cherokee. So I'm allowed to say that. That's not cultural appropriation. Just wanted to throw that out there. My great-grandmother was full-blooded Cherokee. So, yeah, there you go. Just wanted to make sure everyone understood. I get to use sayings like that. There's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Anyway, we need to understand that in a family, it's the same thing. It's a hierarchy of authority and responsibility. It's not that we are unloved and have no say or anything like that in the church, but Jesus is the head of the church, and that doesn't make us lesser in the sight of God, or we're just dirt and he doesn't even care about us, doesn't love us, and but there is there's a hierarchy of authority. Understanding, right? We're the friend of God. Jesus said, I call you friends. Yes, that's awesome. That's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. But then there's also this element of, hey, wait a minute though. But there is a respect, kind of a line of authority here. The military, same way, is a general, a better soul, more valuable person than the guy that just signed up, the private who just signed up last week, getting ready to go through boot camp. No, I mean, but that person, there are lines of authority, there is accountability and responsibility, and the buck stops with that general, right? Or the commander-in-chief. And so again, in a family, it's that way. However, we need to understand there needs to be that mutual trust and assurance between a husband and wife. It is very, very, very important. So both husbands and wives need to do their jobs, need to be who God wants them to be, so they can come together and complement one another. complement one another to achieve what God has called that family to do. So verse 12, she does him good and not harm all the days of her life. See what I'm saying? She's there to help. She's not there to tear him down. She's not there to undermine. I think we need to do this. The kids, we need to set some rules, some guidelines here. And then, maybe the husband goes off to work and the wife is like, yeah, everything we just said, that's out the window because I think we should do this. That should not happen. Any people, I'm telling you, any people that I've come across where that kind of stuff happens, it never goes well. It never, never, never goes well. Primarily because we are disobeying God. Secondarily, because imagine a sports team. We get in the huddle. I'm just going to use the football analogy. We get in the huddle. The quarterback calls the play. We run out to the field. The quarterback is dodging. The guys they're up front. The linemen, they're pushing against the defense. Quarterback swings left, goes to throw that ball, and the receiver decided, I don't want to run that play. I want to do a different play. That's not going to work very well. So again, I think we need to understand it's okay to have that kind of analogy and realize that's how it works in a family. There are roles and responsibilities, and we should not do each other harm. Verse 13, she seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. Now, she is productive. She is industrious. She is a provider and a nourisher, right? Does this sound like, people try to paint that nonsensical caricature. Wife just barefoot and pregnant, some ignorant old woman in the kitchen just baking bread and just, who believes that that's what a woman should be? From days of old when this was written, no, women can be so many things. Look at what she is doing business. She is conducting affairs. She is, I didn't say having affairs, conducting affairs, right? She is doing all of these things, right? Because it does, right, put her up against all these scriptures about the adulteress and all this stuff in other chapters, right? There's that husband and wife relationship of love, of intimacy, of connection. The author of His Needs, Her Needs, I forget his name at this, because it just came to my mind. I believe he's the one. Now, I get some of these books conflated sometimes because I recommend them. I love them. I've read them. We've done study groups and stuff on them. But I don't think it's Gary Chapman with 5 Love Languages. I don't think it's Sacred Marriage. I'm pretty sure it's His Needs, Her Needs. He says he's never seen in his time counseling people and working with people in this book when he wrote it. He said he's never seen someone who is fulfilled in a marriage. They are fulfilled, the husband or the wife. They are fulfilled. Their needs are met. They've never seen that person go and look outside of the marriage for fulfillment. So we need to be fulfilling each other's needs. We need to be looking at, now again, we need to have realistic expectations and needs as husbands and wives, okay? But in a godly situation scenario where someone is not asking some ridiculous something of their spouse, we should be fulfilling those and meeting those because we love them. The whole point of marriage and love is I want to make this other person better. I want to do for them. I want to help them. I want to be there for them, right? If you're going into a marriage and it's all about you, what do I get out of it? It's probably doomed for failure from day one unless you change that mindset. So anyway, look at all the things she's doing. Amazing, just amazing. And the ability to do these things. Verse 16, she considers a field and buys it. Business prowess. Look at that. Verse 16 continued, with the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. Verse 17, she dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. Now, I used to joke around with this and say, yep, see, that means she hits the gym. But I don't think that's what it's saying. Now, I will say this, right? Just as a general note for all people, I think it's good to spend a decent amount of time not inordinate, not get crazy with it, but our overall physical health is a critical component of who we are. We need to, if that's hitting the gym or some kind of physical exercise and things, to stay strong, stay fresh, keep the heart, the muscles, the skeletal system, keep it all functioning and working and flowing properly. Because if we want to be strong spiritually, right? You take somebody that is, horrible in their health, and you try to get them to pray for a couple of hours and pour into it, and it's gonna be a tougher time. It's gonna be a tougher time than if they were in good physical health. And all the things and demands that we have in life, right? You go to a two-hour prayer meeting, you're in a service, you're doing Bible studies, and then you got to get up early and go to work the next day, or you got to tend to, family stuff over the weekend or whatever, and you're go. It's better when you have an actual physical strength, okay? But I digress. Verse 18, she perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. Verse 19, she puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. Verse 21, she is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. So again, that, making provision, thinking ahead, being industrious, as I said, productive. These are amazing traits, but they're not things. Now again, you may not be able to make clothes with your hands. That's not the point. The point is, right? They didn't have Old Navy back then. Okay, so the point is the attitude, the character. We sometimes cut ourselves so short on the things we really could be doing, the abilities we have, because we get sucked into sort of a mold. We get sucked into just the monotony of life and just, okay, I'll just kind of sit around and just, another day and here it is. And instead, we should be looking at what God's called us to do and expanding, trying things, doing things. There's lots. I believe the average person has so much more potential than they tap into, mostly because we just don't go for it. We just don't try. We just don't push. We settle into a rut pretty quickly in life, and we just continue in that rut. And I think it's important for us to think outside the box. I think it's important for us to push ourselves, because we can achieve and do so much more than many times we even believe is possible. So again, she's thinking ahead, she's preparing, she's taking care of business, she's buying real estate and flipping it or whatever. She's doing all this stuff. Verse 23. Verse 22. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. He's off. What? She's sitting there. She's taking care of the household. She is taking care of things. She is at it, man. But he is what? Just some loser, on the couch watching Netflix series while she's taking care of everything? No. He is sitting in the gates with the elders over the city. This guy is not just considering his family. He is taking care of the entire city, with the rest of the elders sitting in the gates, right, which is the place of authority and power and where decisions are being made, right, the government, that kind of thing. So what are they doing? They are working together. They're a team. They're pairing up, right? Because if he had to spend all his time making linen and purple and clothing the household and maybe even buying and selling that land and stuff like that, these greater things that their household together should be influencing and doing are not going to be able to happen. Why? Because you've got him flying solo or her flying solo, but together, right? What's the business term? Synergy. They come together. 1 + 1 makes not just 2, it makes 5. Because they're able to work together, trust one another, play to each other's strengths, help each other's weaknesses. This is the partnership of a healthy husband and wife relationship. Do you think about it that way? Do you look at your husband as like a business partner, a partner in let's do this, let's rock this, let's get this done together. How can you help me? How can I help you? Let's achieve. Or do you look at yourself like, well, I just kind of take care of the kids and maybe go get my hair done. Hopefully there's time to get my nails done. And he's off working. And then when he comes home, he probably wants dinner made. I mean, seriously? Is that how you think? Is that how you think? Or do you open this up and go, wow, a partnership. We're striving together. We're pushing. We're husbands. Is that how you think? I come home and what's she been doing all day? Oh yeah, taking care of the kids. Yeah, hopefully raising your children, bruh. I mean, influencing the generations to come, partnering with you. That's your partner to be able to go at it, get it done. Is this how we view ourselves? Or do we kind of view ourselves more like frenemies? You know, roommates that are frenemies that have kids together. I mean, I think this is a cultural thing. Our culture is destroying families. It's destroying marriages. And I think sometimes that creeps into the church and we start thinking this way. What do I get out of it? It's kind of a zero-sum game. It's a tug of war. What can I get? What does she get? What do I have to give in? You know, that kind of stuff. Instead of, no. We are on a team. We are winning here for the kingdom of God primarily. And then we'll say the game of life together. We're in it. We're going to go after it. Why don't you take an action item right now? Go home today and sit down with your spouse and just tell them, you know what? I was looking at Proverbs 31 and God convicted me. And going forward, we're going to start thinking of each other as a team. It's you and me. You and me, babe. You know, you, me, the family. We're in this for God. We're going to do what we need to do, what King Jesus has commissioned us to. And we are going to rock life together, you and me. What's wrong with that? I think that would be better than this tug-of-war, frenemy attitude that many people get. Now, I've gotten it. You've gotten it. I mean, it just you get into life, and it's kind of like, what are you doing over there? Oh, running off to work all the time, you know, or, oh, what are you doing? Just taking care of the kids, or just, again, this is how we should be looking at it. He's off over there with the elders, taking care of the entire city, making sure everybody's safe, making sure people are fed, thinking about the coming, rainy season, the famine that might be hitting, the right, keeping everybody alive and safe and productive and all that. And what she is taking care of these things in the home, so neither one of them have to worry. They trust one another. They're working together. Have I made that point? I think I've made that point pretty clear. So I'll move on. You can see the preacher starting to come out, right? like, dude, you said it 7.5 minutes ago. Why are you still using more analogies and still going on and on? So I'll keep going here. So verse 24, she makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. See, she's strong, right? The Bible's not against strong women. The Bible is against women who take the position and usurp the authority of men. It is not against strong women. It's not. I mean, look at you read this and you're like, well, does she even need her husband? Right? Because there's nothing wrong with a strong woman being submitted to a loving husband. What is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. The world tries to paint a picture like there's something wrong with that. But that's that tug of war, pulling at each other. We're on the same team, sort of, but I'm also trying to usurp you, kind of dominate over you. That's not the way it should be. And I think if we have this kind of attitude, husbands, wives, marriages, families would be so much stronger and better. And frankly, if we just cut out all the cultural nonsense and stop being like the world and stop buying into what the devil is selling through the systems of man and the systems of the world, we would be so much better. But strength, dignity are her clothing. She laughs at the time to come. She's not, depression? No, she's not popping pills for depression. She's not anxious about stuff. Why? Why? Because she's crazy? Because she doesn't see that there's danger ahead, that there's unknown factors that No, because she trusts in what she is doing. She trusts in her husband. She trusts in the Lord God. And guess what? She knows they're prepared. She knows they've considered. She knows they're not just floating through life hoping. So she laughs at the time to come. Verse 26, she opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of, here it is, idleness. Now, I like to enjoy a good movie, maybe a little gaming, just some just veg time. I do it. I enjoy a little bit of that here and there. But by and large, we should not be idle. We should be productive. Okay? I'm not going to go on a tangent. I'm just going to say one of the reasons that our country, the United States, is in the predicament that we are in is because in the early 1900s through the 1940s, 1950s especially, we were productive. We were a producing nation. People looked to us because we had all this manufacturing and things happening and people were buying from us and people were relying on. Now we've become a unproductive, service-oriented, import-dependent nation, and that's why we're in so much of the predicament that we're in today. Just going to drop it right there and leave it there. We'll let the economics or the economists hash some of that out. But that is one of the biggest underlying factors of the issues we've seen over the last several decades, is that we've gotten away from productivity and gotten on all these other things. But it was the productivity that allowed us to get so rich and so bloated and so wealthy and so everything that we just thought this just happened. We were just because we're the United States, we're just so worthy to have all this. We're just amazing. No, what made us amazing was the God-given principles of freedom and liberty, individual responsibility that led to high productivity, that led to the wealth and everything that comes from that. Now, kicking it back to here. She is not idle. When we are productive, the blessings, the results, the success, all these things come. They don't come to people who are idle. They come to people who are productive. And I think we need to be people who chase being productive. Now, if our priorities are in the right place, that productivity will be channeled into a place that is correct. If God is our top priority, our productivity is going to flow there. If our family is kind of next on that list, our productivity is going to go there, right? We are going to be productive in the kingdom. And again, God looks for productivity. He gives the talents away. He wants what? A return on investment. He wants productivity there. He gives us human freedom. Why? Just so we can lay around and eat fruit? No, so you can tend the garden, so we can, have these things and be the protector and the provider and all this to Adam, for instance, right? And be in relationship with him. Well, of course, Adam flubbed it up. But God still wants that productivity. He gives us freedom and liberty, not so we can be licentious and just, it's all about me. I can do whatever we want. It's so that we can freely choose him, prioritize him, and be productive in his kingdom. Now, back to Proverbs. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. I think it's very important, and I'm not very good at this. I'm just going to throw it out there and say this. I've said this on other podcasts. It's just who I am, and I recognize it, though, and so I'm trying to get better, trying to be better, right, as an encourager, a thank you. A lot of times I'll say thank you, but it's more the encouragement. It's kind of going out of your way to, say those encouraging, uplifting things. Somebody does something great. Instead of just saying thank you, kind of go off for a little bit about how, man, that was an awesome, great idea. Wow, that was awesome how you did that. Wow, that was amazing. Don't lie, but when you see something that's good, say it. Stop, pause, encourage, lift up, build up, edify in the thank you. And I think, again, this helps when a wife is praising the husband for the good that's being done, focusing on the good, focusing on the encouragement. Doesn't mean we don't deal with things that need to be dealt with, but we spend the smaller amount of time on that and the greater amount of time on the good. I think if we do that, we just stay positive, we stay optimistic, and we keep pushing and flowing in this idea of freedom, productivity, and the like. This goes for everyone. Of course, he should be praising her. She should be praising him, the children, praising the kids for what the good they're doing. We should just be people who are encouragers and operate in that zone. Verse 29, many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all, right? That's the kind of attitude he's got and he's saying to this woman. And that's good. We should specify, oh, babe, I love you so much. You're the best. How about get specific? That was an amazing thing you did with fill in the blank, an actual real example, right? I love how you did this with the kids. You're such an incredible mom, and here's what I mean. I think it's good. I think it's something that people like me have to work on because I'm just not natural. It's so weird. It's like, yeah, things should be going good, so let's keep going. Right? It's terrible. It's terrible. But at least I recognize, right? I can recognize my strengths and I can recognize my weaknesses, and that's part of the battle. And then you play to the strengths and you help grow and overcome the weaknesses. So again, I think it's important to be open and honest about ourselves. And this is definitely one of those areas where I have over the years tried to get better and better and better. I'm sure I'm not perfect at it, but again, it's right here. Many women have done excellently. So he's like, yeah, there's a lot of great women out there, but you, babe, you surpass them all. Verse 30, charm is deceitful. Beauty is vain. Now that's not saying you can't have beauty. You got to have an ugly woman, right? There's like that old school, oh man, I don't even know how it came to my mind. I don't even think I've ever actually heard the entire song. But there's that song where it's like, if you want to be happy the rest of your life, never make a it's like a beautiful woman your wife or whatever, right? Anyway, don't check it out. It may be a horrible song. I don't even know. I don't know why it popped in my mind. But beauty is vain. We shouldn't chase beauty, but there's nothing wrong with somebody being beautiful. Have the other traits, the character, the inner traits, the prioritization, right? God first, their family, right? Chasing the things that matter in priority. And if they're beautiful, awesome. A lot of times someone's physical beauty is what is going to initially at least kind of, be looking over there, right? How do you know their character without being a little bit interested or seeing some things, right? So there's nothing wrong. He's not saying there's anything wrong with some charm. With, they're a charming person. But charm can be deceitful and beauty can be vain. Look what it says. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And that's the main thing. Young people that may listen to this, my children listen to this broadcast sometime in the future. The main thing, do they love the Lord? And the way you measure that, they said they love God. They said they believe in God. They go to church. None of those are the measures. Jesus even said, why do you call me Lord and not do what I say? The measure, whether someone loves Jesus the way they're supposed to and are following Jesus the way they're supposed to, is do they obey him? Are they in the Word? Are they in prayer? Are they connected? Are they the kinds of people that are giving and serving? They're active in their local church body. But most importantly, do they obey Jesus Christ? Do they obey? So the one who fears the Lord, the woman who fears the Lord, that woman is to be praised above all else. Verse 31, give her of the fruit of her hands and let her works praise her in the gates. She's earned it. She's got it. She's working it. And she is making it happen. And let her works praise her in the gates. She is known. Maybe she's gorgeous, but she's known not for that. She's known because of her character, who she is, and what she does. And so that is Proverbs chapter 31. That is the end of the book of Proverbs. This has been an incredible journey. It's been great getting through all of this. It's been a wonderful time, and I hope you have enjoyed it as well. any questions on any of this stuff, podcast@breadbreakers.com, podcast@breadbreakers.com. Please remember, share this with somebody. Share this with someone. Just take a minute, click that little share icon, and get it out to somebody that will benefit from this. We are finished with Proverbs, so we will be jumping into some things in the future here. So don't you worry, this isn't the end of the podcast or anything like that. But we are going to drop it right here with the Book of Proverbs. God bless you. Hope you have found this useful and helpful. Love you, and we will catch you on the next podcast.